Okay, let me show you our catio here. This is phase one of the catio. We had a window that was getting old and rotten, so we just put a board in front of it, cat door into it. The sill was all rotted out, so we put that piece of pressure treated wood over it. And this thing here is roughly about 3 feet wide and about 7 feet long. What we have here, I tried to make this very, very inconspicuous. So instead of using lumber, what we used is conduit pipes, spray painted them green, and then used green coated fencing on it. Down here on the lower part, we also have a layer of plastic fencing. This is because we have coyotes in the area, and the coyotes can nip through the holes of the regular fencing. So down lower is this other fence to keep keep them from biting into it. We have a retaining wall on this side, a small one, so that helps a little bit here. But you can see the two fences. We've got the one wire fence here that's coated, and then the plastic one beyond that. To add some reinforcements, these are potato rods that used for holding up potatoes, or tomatoes, excuse me, and they work good, and they're very inconspicuous. But we have a canopy over the top of it, and then I put shelves across so he can jump back and forth. And let me show you how I made these shelves. Because there's another potato or tomato rod there, garden rod. Those work out really good. Just wire them in. They help add reinforcement to the thing. But these are pressure treated lumber. And then in order to attach them to the walls, what I did was I took some of the wires from some of the fence parts that I had to cut, and I just made a loop. So let me stand this up. So the loop actually comes down through here, and then I just stapled it in there so that the staples hold it. And then we put carpeting over it, and then it's hung so that the loop part actually is on the bottom side, so all the pressure is pulling up, and then we can just set this up and then just wire it right into the walls of the cage. So that makes it really simple for adding in and arranging. So this is phase one, and here I cut a log out of the woods, covered it with a carpet. He loves this. This is his climbing log here. And what we did to keep the coyotes from digging under here, I had gravel and rock, and so what I did is I took everything up, and then I laid down a cage, galvanized wire, heavy duty, underneath this entire area, and then I put the rock and everything back on top of it, so it comes up, and the green wire is wired into that. So this thing actually has wire protection all the way under, and then it comes up the sides. And even on the ceiling, you can see, because this cat is a Houdini, he's always trying to find a way out, and he's really good at it. You can see that the ceiling has also got the cage on it, and there's no actual frame, but the cage itself creates the strength that it needs. I just have a conduit sprayed green that goes across the top to give it the peak support on that. And it was kind of interesting to attach it to the house because everything had to be pulled that way, and so I had conduit pipes across there and had to anchor them in, and it was kind of an interesting apparatus, but he really liked it. And let me get myself up here. Also, because of the rocks and stuff, when he jumps down, he often ends up on the pebbles, and it's kind of been hurting his feet, so I made him a little trampoline thing here. It's actually semi-pliable. It's Luan plywood with a little bit of a frame around it. And what this does is so when he jumps down, he can jump down onto this instead of the rocks. And he uses it a lot. Sometimes he'll actually even climb under it. And so that's his little landing pad that we have there. And let me turn around here, and this is his deck that he likes to lay on a lot to get the sun. You can see how that is, why that is. He lays here a lot, and I went and put in the door for this is actually under his place that he lays around. And the reason for that is that it keeps his attention. His attention is up here, and he doesn't think much about what's below this shelf. And this door here, you can see that it's actually up in the air, and the reason for that is also because of the coyotes. Coyotes will attack at about this level, and so when they're attacking, they're hitting solid cage, they're not hitting a door. And so that this thing comes up, it's actually just wire, just you can see here, that's my hinge, and then the edges of the wires just are tucked in on the corner, and the whole thing is sewn shut. And it's kind of a bugger to get in and out of, but that's part of the reason, is for the safety of it. Now, let me turn this off. I'll climb out and then I'll show you the outside of it. Okay, here it is from the outside. You can see how unobtrusive this thing looks because it doesn't have 2x4s. It just has those rods that are stuck in the ground, those pipes. And that is conduit pipe, just spray painted green. And then, like this one here, this for support is the garden poles that are just a metal that's coated with a plastic coating on them. And I just took the wires, because when you're working with the caging, with the fencing like this, you're going to end up with a lot of extra pieces of wire, so they just work good to twist things up. There's our plastic liner to keep the coyote's teeth out. There's our little entrance door. Time to shut it up. I had to go in and clean the shelves off and straighten some things out. And also I was just finishing up on the second phase of this project. I want to temporarily secure this, but you can see this is kind of a makeshift way of doing it. The ends of the wires are just bent in. There's nothing sophisticated about the way I did this, and that's how it locks itself. And of course it's a bugger to try to get this thing open. It's nothing that's done quickly, and that's part of the philosophy of it, is to keep any predatory animals, to make it so that they can't get in here either. So I would much rather have to fiddle around myself and keep the cat safe than to take a chance of some hungry coyote wanting to get in here. There, got the ends all twisted in, and then for this one here, we're just gonna, pretty hard to do this with one hand. There we go. There. And that is secure, because when the cat tests things, he'll test from his perch, and so it's pretty hard for him to test from underneath here, under his perch. So we're good that way. And a lot of people put in the catios because they have cats that just need exercise. We have a pedigree cat, and he doesn't do well outside. One day he got out of another cage that I have for him. We couldn't find him. And we finally found him 50 feet back into that woods there, panting. He was disoriented, he was overheated, he was confused. And so I went out and got him, and that's when we made sure that we had everything secure on our cat cages. But this is phase 1. Now, I just today finished phase 2. And phase 2 is this. This is a skyway for him, and this is that same treated, coated fencing. This is 3-foot high stuff, curved around, runs along the side of the house, and comes to a junction here. And this is a T-junction, and the reason that I made a T is if he likes this, we have phase 3 planned, and that's going to come off of here, and that's going to go to that tree, to that tree, to the tree in the middle back there, and off eventually into those woods there. But here, let me show you what this is. We got a post here. This is the top of a fence, And this little skyway. And there we have our little bugger. Yeah, he likes it. And over here is where it goes to a little tree house for him. And this is about 2 foot by 4 foot. And that's just so he can sit out here and enjoy watching the birds. Yeah. Yeah, he likes it. He's real happy with it. The interesting thing on the math on this was we attached it to a tree, and I had to make it so that it had enough room around the tree here so that the tree could grow and expand, even though the tree is showing has a little bit of problem down here. But the tree can expand without hitting this. Now the top part of the cage, I took, if you can see them up in there, the top part of the cage, I just nailed everything in there. I used staples, they fell right out. So I used nails, and I know the bark will just grow right around that, so it'll actually grow into the fencing, which is fine. There's no problem there. And then here's a brace for supporting the front of this. And here's the end of the bridge. Yeah, this is the interesting part, is that this tree will sway in the breeze, and even at this level, there's about a ½ inch of movement here, sometimes up to 1 inch. So I had to leave enough room so it could sway back and forth, and I could not attach this to this. And so what I did is I put a screw on the side up in here, and another screw over here. You can probably see them. Left it up, there it is. And that just keeps this whole thing from going back and forth this way, and that way it can slide, or the tree can move with it. And the wire itself has got enough flexibility that it can go in and out as the tree sways. But it does have, and the wind quit blowing here for a moment, but it was actually moving. You could actually see it move. And my plan is to go, it's not moving very much right now. My plan is to go from tree to tree, so because I don't like the bridges, so when I go from tree to tree, I have to secure one end solid and the other end to move, so that way each one has its own flexibility here. There, the wind is coming up a little bit. Let's see if we can see this thing move. I can hear it. Whatever. But anyhow, you get the idea that there is that sway, and so it does have some movement in it. But that's stage 2. And I did, when I took the fence, put it underneath and stapled it in here, and I tried to keep all my staples underneath and out of the weather, because these are not all weather staples. I don't think they're galvanized at all. And let me show down the run there, and this is stage 2. So anyhow, thank you for watching.